Hi, gorgeous. This is episode number 350. Drum roll. Today, the wonderful Kristen Hartnagel is back on the show.
Hi, this is Kristen Hartnagel. You are listening to Heart Sells Podcast with Christine Schlonski. Enjoy.
Well, I am so delighted to have Kristen Hartnagel back for episode number 350. Can you believe it? 350 episodes of Heart Sells Podcast just for you. Today, we will talk about how to leave your drama loop, and what that is, you will find out in this episode. Kristen Hartnagel is the founder of Evolve Now and a founding member of Brand Builders Group. She's also a professional speaker, a professional brand strategist, and certified infinitive possibilities trainer. As a professional singer, songwriter, and recorded artist, a beautiful, effective way to deliver her message is with keynote concerts. Well, she does not sing for us in this episode simply because I totally forgot to ask her, but we talk about an amazing topic, and I'm quite sure that you will relate. In case you are new to Heart Sells Podcast, I'm the host, Christine Schlonski, and on Heart Sells, I talk with inspirational, successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs and business leaders about how they have built a wildly successful business and in many cases had to overcome their own challenges in selling their products and services. Some of my amazing past guests include the wonderful Bob Burg, the amazing Judy Hoberman, Ian Altman, Andrea Waltz, Melanie Benson, Pia Silver, Brian Kurtz, Kate Erickson. I could go on and on and on. You have a ton of episodes to choose from to be inspired. So really check them out if you have not already. Really enjoy. This episode is brought to you by Heart Sells Academy. At Heart Sells Academy, we serve heart-centered, ambitious entrepreneurs who love what they do, but really have a challenge with selling. And we help them to sell with ease, transition into the sales conversation with grace, and close with confidence so that they can sell more, have more impact, and create more freedom for themselves while they help others on their path. So if that is of interest, hop on over to christineschlonski.com and book your sales assessment. Thank you so much, and let's dive in with the wonderful Kristen Hartnagel. Well, I am so excited you are back on the show today, Kristen. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Christine. Great to be with you again.
Yeah, I had so much fun with you talking about personal branding and brand building and the importance of it. And I think in the last episode, what you said so clearly is that a personal brand is not about you.
That is the truth.
And I think that's something I've never heard it this way. It's so super easy, but it's so true. And a lot of people don't want to be a personal brand because they think they have to show up in fancy places, take great selfies of themselves so that they can build that personal brand, but that's not the truth. So I just love that. So if everyone has not yet listened to our first episode, I highly recommend you do. And today I would love to talk about something else, and that is actually you are, really creating your own brand, Evolve Now. And I would love to know how, what you do, and also how you do it, applying all the branding knowledge you know. So I can see this being like so super big because you have such a great starting point with everything you know, you learned, all your beautiful connections. And let's give us a little bit of an insight.
Thank you so much for asking. Yeah, it's been such a blessing to kind of follow the brand building journey with the clients that I've served over the last several years, and the benefit of being able to connect the dots and apply those same techniques and strategies to who I'm being called to step more fully into. I've had a spiritual connection and done speaking at lots of different events, all about alignment and kind of getting out of your own way and learning how to listen to and process emotions more clearly. So much so that it was like the people that are on brand building calls with me are saying, I just want to talk to you on the side about this thing that I'm experiencing. And that led me to create Evolve Now with Kristen Hartnagel. So that's a coaching program where we're just working on how do we get out of our own way? How do we recognize that if I'm going through an experience that feels familiar over and over and over again, there may be some underlying lesson that we have yet to learn. There may be a thought pattern that is getting in the way that needs to be really looked at and broken down so that you can break through. So I call it breakthrough coaching sessions. And that's the ability to really dive in and look at what are these debilitating thought patterns that we need to reframe and rework so that you can get out there and be your kick-ass self.
Yeah, I love it. I just recently did an episode, number 346, about having a breakdown before you have the breakthrough, which it's so true. Like every time, like the next level is calling and you turn in circles and you have the same experiences, thinking like, what's going on? It's because you didn't get the lesson, and it just shows up in different faces and different spaces, but with always the same trigger. So it's such a wonderful program you are doing, because that is what's keeping us of not seeing what we need to learn to actually move on and finish off that lesson.
Oh my. And if we don't really get through this lesson, it is the thing that we're going to keep reliving. And I just hate for people to reach the end of their life and say, oh my, look at how many times I had to go through that in clever and not so clever disguises. It was the same thing over and over. And typically that means there is something inside of you in need of healing. And if we can bring that to the surface and heal it, there is a whole new life experience out there for you.
Well, this automatically triggers the question, what do you see in the world with your experience? And we kind of touched a little bit on this in the last episode with women and selling. What's really holding women, especially women, back from asking their price, from making their offer in a way that's confident, so the other person also believes that they believe in themselves?
It's really important to know that selling is a transference of emotion. And I think we spend so much time thinking about the benefits that we know we provide and how we want to help people that we maybe aren't so in touch with those things that are internally making us who we are. And so if we can do some of that deep soul searching and reveal those ways that make us pretty unique, one of a kind, the only me out there, it's a frequency thing. I am delivering this education and this information in a way that there are people who could have maybe even heard somebody say the exact same thing yesterday, but they really only heard it from me. There are people in the world who need to hear what you do and can only hear it from you. And that helps us battle imposter syndrome. So the more confident we are, the more we believe what it is that we do and that it truly helps people, we don't shy away from selling. I think that's one of the biggest stumbling blocks, is that we're confident about all the ways that we help, but then we shy away when it comes to trying to actually get somebody to sign a contract, to give us money, to close the deal. And that's when we really need to be the most confident. Think about your own buying behavior. Everybody gets cold feet. Everybody gets drawn in, sees something that they like, starts to think about, yes, I want this for me. And then they remember getting burned. You remember feeling taken advantage of. You remember making a decision that you regret. And everybody in the world goes through that. So you have to take ownership of, my job is to help them face this. They will be feeling it. And what we tend to do is say, I'm afraid to club them over the head. I'm afraid of being that pushy salesperson. I'm afraid they won't like me, which is all about you. If you can get out of that and get into, they're feeling this human feeling of making a mistake in the past. They're curious to know if they're really wanting a guarantee. And maybe we can't give a guarantee, but what you really want to do is soothe their emotions and say, I haven't heard you tell me anything that feels to me like we wouldn't be a good fit to work together. Is there any reason you can think of that you wouldn't want to move forward with this today? That's like a reverse psychology close. It's using the words to make their brain think in a different way. If I were to close by saying, so what do you think? Are you ready to work with me? Boy, that just puts us into that fight or flight mode of thinking about all the past mistakes. I feel like a deer in the headlights and under pressure. But when I confidently say, man, I talk to people like you all the time, and I haven't really heard you say anything that makes me think that this maybe wouldn't work for you. In fact, it sounds like what you're describing. This feels like a perfect fit to me. Is there anything you can think of that would be a reason for you not to move forward today? That's a way to help them ease into this decision-making process. Good, effective selling is moving people emotionally through a decision-making process without feeling salesy or pushy. And the only way we can do that is if our own belief in what we do and how we serve is so strong that you can be there for them instead of worrying about you.
Yeah, be there. I think putting yourself into their shoes and understand, and you've probably been there too. Maybe you forgot because your soulmate client resembles you a lot. That was something that I really had to learn when I figured out, like, oh, what do I want to do? Like, how do I want to position myself? What do I want to offer? And I had a lot of resistance around offering sales coaching, but I always ended up in sales coaching and helping people to sell this ease, to really make that, that transition into the closing section with, with grace. And then at the end to really close with confidence. And that's something that I needed to understand, that my soulmate, they also have all these challenges that I used to have when I started in sales. I didn't need to reinvent myself. I could use what I already had in place, and then I could just share it with them, and they would be so happy to receive that through my filters and my lens. And it's amazing what you just said. It's so, so true. We need to open that door, that space for a person to say yes and to get over their own fears and over their past experience that weren't supportive.
So true. So true. And I think one of the biggest confidence builders we can work toward is to get testimonials, get real feedback. Trying to come up with the words ourselves can feel forced. But if you know you're doing good and you know you're already working with people who love you, how can you guide them to give you the kind of feedback that you can then use in your own storytelling when you're in the next selling situation, so that energetically, I want you to picture in a typical sales scenario, the dynamic is kind of like us being across the table from one another. But when you can share a story of somebody who loves you and got benefit from you and the results were so worth it to them, it's almost as if now I'm coming around the table and we're sitting together and we're watching this movie of this success. And it's hard to argue with a movie that you're watching. So to paint that picture so vividly using the real words of the people who do find value from you, that's going to get a lot farther than me trying to tell you why I think this is going to be such a good fit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. We used to we'll call that like third part storytelling. Like you take that success story of your client and then you kind of portray it to your prospect or your future client so they can really get it. Because from your point of view, obviously, you're a bit biased about your own solutions. And that really helps because we all, like, I would guess it's for you included, like when we do go invest and we get some mentors or programs, it's not always an easy decision. And there is like this,
so true.
Should I do it? Should I not do it? Will it really help? And just when you turn that around, it's okay, what am I going to do so I make this work for me? Like, how ready am I to leave my comfort zone and really do it? And that's why I so believe in coaching and mentoring and also, higher ticket, that people move, because then you are really invested. And
no doubt about it.
Usually you receive way better results because you move your little butt.
Move your little butt. I love that. You're absolutely right. There is this confidence boost that comes when you can grasp those stories, when you can glean that kind of feedback. And in fact, we have these 2-day training events on several different topics. Finding your brand DNA, we talked a little bit about on when we were together last time, but there's pressure-free persuasion, or how to build your revenue engine, which is kind of like your website and your blog and your social media, how that all interacts together. And when we're able to talk to people about these events, it's putting ourselves in their shoes, talking about the problem they solve. And then when they're done with that event, we're asking very pointed questions. What made you decide to sign up for that event? I know you were probably wondering whether it would be worth the investment. What made you decide to finally pull the trigger? So the more you know what your most common objections are, the more you can guide people to saying something that you could use for a testimonial that is going to address those very common objections. And so we actually train people. We're going to do a quick video about your feedback on this event. I'd love for you to repeat the question within your answer. So if my question is, I know that you were really concerned about this investment. What made it worth the investment to you? They'll say, well, the reason I thought that this was so worth the investment is. Now you've got a little video testimonial that addresses one of the most common objections you're going to come up against. And when you can guide people to give you that kind of feedback, that's when you truly can come around that table and be watching that movie together. And you know that is going to be answering the questions that are kind of welling up in their heart, making them feel insecure about a buying decision. And this really eases that before it gets a chance to take hold.
Yeah, so true. I think oftentimes the biggest challenge we have is that our soulmate clients don't believe enough in themselves. And the journey has to start somewhere so you can support them. And therefore, getting the yes is helpful. So helping them to see what you see and what others have achieved already in the past is really a beautiful way to infuse more confidence into them. So speaking about confidence, do you remember the very first thing that you ever sold in your life?
Actually, I do, because it was so out of my comfort zone. My husband, my then boyfriend, owned a cemetery I'm sorry, I'm saying that wrong. He was the sales manager at a cemetery, and he knew that I was pursuing my own singing career. But he said, hey, while you're doing that, I think you'd be really good at sales. So I was selling lots, plots, and markers, which are like headstones. We called them funeral pre-arrangements to people in the world who maybe just had somebody in their life that they loved pass away. Imagine how hard a sell that would be. I know you just lost someone near and dear to you. Don't you want to have the burial plot next to them? Don't you want to secure arrangements so your family can be together? And to add a little bit of humor, it's not an easy sale. So the next time you think it's tough out there, just imagine trying to sell funeral prearrangements. People were not dying to see me. Ba-bum bum.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can imagine. Is there anything like earlier in your life you sold? Like maybe as a child already, like way back when you received.
Oh, now you're testing me, but you're right. I definitely was a brownie and a Girl Scout and sold Girl Scout cookies and tried to be the number one person in my little troop. And I just remember in grade school learning that there was a fundraiser and how encouraged I was that I could get people excited about the cause. And that was the beginning of really helping learn how to craft language that got people to understand what they were doing that was going to benefit something instead of just, I'm trying to win a prize. It's when you do this, this is contributing to our school playground. And so that's like, I'm glad you made me remember that, because you're right. Sales has been inbred in me since practically the beginning of my time.
Yeah, that somehow that's what I felt like. You were so natural in, and I think it's like that, making that connection, right, with another person, making that relationship, and then also, putting their relationship on another level by, providing deeper support. I'm always fascinated by people, what they sell or sold when they were young, how it felt, what an experience it was, if it was a good experience or maybe not so good, and how that actually kind of, accompanied them through the whole entrepreneurial journey. It's always fascinating for me to see.
I would say that the one comment I get for my whole selling career is, I bought from you because of your enthusiasm. I could just feel how much you believed in what you were doing. It's like, I want what she has. And I think that transference of emotion is huge. So again, it goes back to how much do you believe in you and if you believe in you and you believe in your product and service and you believe in the company, either your own company or the company that you're working for, let that bubble over, because joy is contagious. And you can end up serving more people when you can feel so good about what you're doing that it cannot be denied. It just shines through.
Yeah, I love it. Final question before we need to wrap up is, what means heart sells for you?
Heart sells for me means being heart-centered, revealing the heart of who you are. Heart selling is not about you. It's getting to know them, being relatable, but knowing yourself so much that when I know myself, I can show up for them in the way that they need. I'm out of my own head. I'm connected with who I am, but I'm listening for what they need so that I can show up in that way for them. That is what heart sells means to me.
Beautiful. And so that you can do that, you need to stop feeling imposter syndrome. And you brought us the top 10 energizing affirmations, how to break through imposter syndrome to be your kick-ass. I just love that. Tell us, obviously, I think everybody needs affirmations, just make life easier. So we're going to put it in the show notes. Like, but why do you think it's so important for people to download that these affirmations?
Well, I appreciate you letting me give this gift away, because to me, we all have varying levels of imposter syndrome. And I think there's a fallacy that we can get on the other side of it, that we can conquer it once and for all. But there is no finish line. And your monkey mind, or that little me voice who wants to keep you safe, moment by moment, it is a discipline. It is a willingness to engage and kind of show yourself who's in charge. And affirmations are one great tool to be able to reprogram your subconscious mind. You've had a lot of years telling yourself why you're not whatever it is you want to be, or not, why you're not good enough, why you can't charge what you want to charge, why you can't attract the number of clients you want. And so affirmations are one great way to just be that reminder. So Kristen's top 10 energizing affirmations, how to break through imposter syndrome to be your kick-ass self. It's just one more tool you can give yourself to start to reprogram that stinking thinking.
I love it. Thank you so much. I love the energy of it. It really already feels energizing to hear that. So thank you so much. This has been such a wonderful conversation. What do you want to leave us with?
I want to leave you with you. I want you to do the work to get to know who you are, what makes you you, what makes you passionate, why you're being called to serve in the way you're being called, and fall in love with yourself. Understand everybody has hurdles to get over. Everybody has obstacles to overcome. Give yourself some grace. Get to know you.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights. I just loved how the conversations flow and how they have flown by so fast. Thank you so much for having been here.
You are welcome. Thank you, Christine. And I can't wait to see you offline, because I love connecting with you.
Thank you so much. I hope you really enjoyed this episode with Kristen Hartnagel. Hop on over to christineschlonski.com, find the podcast tab and episode number 350. There you have the show notes, the resources, all the links that connect you to Kristen, her amazing gifts. And also, once you're over there, I would love for you to sign up for the empowerment notes. That is empowerment right into your inbox, where I share some tips and strategies with you that I usually do not talk about on social media. And also, if you really feel you'd love some support, please book your sales assessment. This is a session where we really go deep, where we have a look at how your sales process works, where you might struggle or have some difficulties, where your strengths are, and you will leave with a plan that you can execute on. So hop on over to christineschlonski.com and check that out. Thank you so much for having been here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful world. And I'm saying bye for now.